You know that one dude in your friend group who's like always late for stuff? Some guy named Bob who like never shows up on time and is always dashing it at the last minute? I mean, maybe you're Bob, who knows? Like seriously, what's up with these people? Are they like super inconsiderate slackers who don't value other people's time? Well, the answer actually isn't either of those things or a lack of awareness. So what's the reason? Well, let's have a look. While for most of us, time runs at a decently consistent pace, these people tend to bend time, sometimes making it stretch and sometimes making it shrink, which is where the term time bender came from to help describe and classify these people. I can totally hear you right now. What? Time bender? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Everyone knows time is constant, and you're right, time is constant. But what something is versus how someone interprets it are two very different things. Like try convincing a colorblind person what color the sky is. Their eyes are interpreting it totally different than yours, and both of you think the other person is crazy. Let me give you a real life example. A psychologist professor named Jeff Conte, I believe it's how you pronounce his name, ran a study where he separated participants into type A people. Those would have been the ones that are more ambitious and competitive. And then he made another group, type B people, which would be the more reflective, exploratory, and creative type. And here's where it gets really interesting because he asked them to judge without clocks how long it took for a minute to elapse.
Now! No, now! Then! I don't know when it happened.
Type A would stop the clock whenever they thought a minute was.
Now!
And that was usually at around 58 seconds. Whereas type B participants would stop the clock whenever they thought a minute had elapsed.
Now!
And it was actually around 77 seconds.
Now! Then! I don't know.
Isn't that kind of crazy that like people's internal clocks are sometimes wrong? So if you think that 5 minutes has passed and you look at the clock, it's actually gonna be about 7.5 to 8 minutes that's passed. Or when the second group of people, type B, would say that, 10 minutes had passed, it had actually been closer to 15 minutes. And for 30 minutes, it had actually been 40 minutes. So obviously no one's perfect at judging time, and whenever someone tries to estimate 30 minutes, they're gonna be way off. But that's just taking the percentage that they missed it by, which is usually adding about 30%, and just compounding it up. Okay, so let's pretend that you are Bob. If that's the case, what's something that you can do? Well, one thing you can do is change your wording. Often people that are chronically late will tend to focus on the fear of the event or the deadline for which they're running late. And rather than figuring out how to get beyond the fear becomes the excuse. For example, someone may say, I really want to be on time for that party, but I can't decide what to wear. What comes after the word but is what really counts. I can't decide what to wear. A really good way to fix this is by simply changing your wording, like I said. So if you take the word but and you change it to and, now you have, I really want to go to that party and I can't decide what to wear. The reason why this makes a difference is the word but usually denotes opposition and blockage, whereas the word and usually denotes connection and resolution. This makes the task become more workable, and often the fear becomes less of an obstacle. The object of this is to shift the focus to the perspective that benefits us the most. And this actually applies to many other areas of life as well, where our language can actually be hindering us subconsciously, where it can be creating blockages and hindrances instead of encouraging resolution and opportunity. A great example of this is a lot of times you'll hear people say, I can't do that, or I never have enough time. And what happens when you do that is at a subconscious level, you're reinforcing that you're not in control of how you're using your time. You can't do this or you can't do that. In reality, you actually can, like you are capable of doing that. And by saying that you can't, you're taking that power of control and you're placing it on someone or something else. And over time, this can kind of cause problems. It's actually quite remarkable what happens when you stop saying the word can't and begin using words like I choose or I've decided not to, or, whatnot. Like, it's not so much of a cop-out. Like, you actually have to give people reasons for why you're not doing something, which is good. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I can't do that. Like, I choose not to do that because this is a higher priority to me. It's like, you actually have to be honest, and you actually have to believe in what you're doing and make sure that it's actually right. Right now, you're probably like, hey, I don't care why Bob is late. How do I fix it? So what about if you're Bob's friends or family or, coworkers, and you just can't stand this anymore? We've all been in those shoes before, and what I would say to that is strongly encourage them to change. No duh, genius. Most likely, you've probably been doing that. But based on the possibility that you may have been doing it wrong, let me give you a few ideas that I think will work quite well in encouraging them strongly to change. The way I like to think about this is you can't make someone change, but you can make it really, really uncomfortable for them to stay where they're at. So instead of getting angry and upset, take a stand and set boundaries. Now, it's very, very important that you talk to these people and make sure that they understand what those boundaries are and why they're being set. It can be very demoralizing and it can come across really harsh. So make sure they really understand why you're doing this. For example, you may tell a chronically late friend that this time, if they're more than 15 minutes late, you're gonna go to the movies without them. And again, make sure that they know why you're doing this and that it's not because you're angry or that you don't like them as a person. Now, obviously this should be done very, very carefully and shouldn't be thrown around lightly. It's not fair to assume that you're always in the right and they're always in the wrong. I mean, let's face it, maybe you're being a little uptight and you gotta learn how to be more flexible. Just an idea, we all gotta grow. And try to understand what their viewpoint is and where they're coming from, because it could be a symptom of something deeper. Or consider that whatever made them late might be more important than your schedule. Whoa, that's a scary thought. There is also a giant difference between someone being chronically late and, someone who's being really stressed out at work and that's taking most of their, mental capacity and it's rolling over into other areas of their life. Don't assume yourself judge and jury. Like, make sure you understand what's going on before you begin laying down the law on people. Setting boundaries like this, it can really hurt and it can be very uncomfortable for people, you included. So make sure and analyze the situation and just see if it's something that you can slowly encourage them to change in, or if it's something that is like dramatically corroding your relationship and it like is causing a lot of strife and stress, like then maybe it should be taken care of in a timely manner and a forceful manner. If it's really bad, like if someone is like chronically late versus like a shift in personality, like 3 months ago he was totally normal, like on time every time, and now something just happened like 2 months ago and now he's always late for stuff. Like, that's probably not a case where you want to set boundaries on people because something probably happened. So there's a big difference between that and someone who's chronically late. So you're looking for shifts in personality, and that usually tells you that, hey, something changed, something happened. And as a friend, what can I do to step in and help with that? And this actually goes along really well with how you read body language, because when you read body language, you're looking for shifts in their behavior and switches, because that usually means that something triggered that. And if you can figure out what that is, you can start finding out what people are thinking and feeling. So if you're interested in that, you should check out this video on how I have learned to read body language to find out what people are thinking and feeling. So with that being said, as always, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next episode.